Hello everybody, my name is Juan Carlos and this video is dedicated to all kind of people who likes teaching English. Okay, so I am 20 years old, I am a student from the normal number 4 and I hope that you enjoy this video. Okay, so if you want to be a teacher, English teacher, please watch this video. Okay, in this video I am going to talk about the oral approach. So as you can see on the computer, this is the topic and I think it's very important for you. It's useful for you. Okay, so let's start. Okay, as I told you at the beginning of this video, today in this video you are going to watching the oral approach. Okay, as you remember, they are different methodologies or approaches. Okay, so for example, the direct method, the audio lingualism method, and they are, for example, TPR is very common. Okay, in this video we are going to focus on the oral approach. Okay, so some people say that it's the same that situational language teaching. Okay, but this which refer to an approach to language teaching developed by British applied linguistics. Okay, this is from 30s and 60s. Okay, so I'm going to next slide. So now I'm going to say the background. Okay, so as you can see on the slides, the origins of this approach began with the work British applied linguistics in the 20s and 30s. Okay, this year English language investigation. Okay, so in this investigation mentioned about vocabulary for reading, proficiency, and developing teaching materials. Okay, I think vocabulary and materials it is so important in this approach. Okay, so now as you can see on the slides again, we have some authors. Okay, in this oral approach, this kind of authors refers this approach. Okay, so for example, number one is Harold Palmer. Okay, he mentioned that teach grammar through by oral approach. Okay, but also Harold Palmer mentions that universal logic was applied in all language of the world. Okay, that's very important because Harold Palmer is intervened with this oral approach. Okay, the second author in this oral approach is Michael West. Okay, this kind of author mentions about vocabulary is an important component for reading proficiency and foreign language. Okay, as I told you at the beginning of this video, oral approach consists with the grammar and vocabulary. So we have some authors in this part. Okay, and finally we have a Hornby. Okay, the same this author mentions some words in this oral approach. Okay, so oral approach. According to Harold Palmer and Michael West, they said that it is principle of syllable design. So they design these syllables, okay? But also they change grammar into structures of sentence pattern, okay? And finally, they design like 2,000 word lists in the first skills, okay? In the first skills, for example, writing, reading, listening, and speaking, okay? Oral approach focus more in reading and writing, okay? Well, I think so in the four skills, okay? Because in this oral approach, students or practice the first skills, okay? The first abilities, okay? So as I told you, the direct method is the principal in this the method, okay? Then we have the oral approach, and finally we have the communicative language teaching method, okay? So this is very important, okay? So then we have the theoretical underpinning, okay? The theory of the languages is structuralism, and the theory for learning is behaviorism. Okay, learning, but talking about students, they have to learn via this theory that it is behaviorism. Okay, so it's very important. Language, all the languages is structuralism. Okay, and learning behaviorism. Okay, so now we have the three common principles. Okay, for example, the number one is grammar and vocabulary, as I told you. Okay, so the second principle is organize the content, the graduation. Okay, and finally we have the strategies, in this case the presentation. Okay, so in the first principle. Okay, as it says the grammar and vocabulary. Maybe vocabulary you can use some flashcards that the vocabulary that you're going to check in the class. Okay, so and what happened with the grammar? In this case, I am happy. So it says that it is depend of the tense. Okay, for example, in this case, it is personal pronoun plus verb to be plus, in this case, the feeling or emotion complement. Okay, but it is depend. Okay, so this is the grammar and vocabulary. The second one is the contain the topics that you are going to teach. Okay, and finally the strategy. If, for example, if I say to my students, okay guys, so you have to stand up and you have to make a circle and walk, walk, walk. Okay, maybe that is an activity. Okay, so then we have this approach focus on, as I told you, vocabulary and grammar control. Okay, I think grammar control is a little bit hard for me. Okay, but you can. Okay, then we have the objectives. Okay, the first one, it says to command over 4 skills of language. Okay, as you remember, the 4 skills of English are speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Okay, so the second objective is to achieve skills through structure, as the last example that using verb to be. Okay, and the next is to introduce speech at the first place, followed by reading and writing. At the beginning of this video, I told you that this oral approach focus on these skills. Okay, that is reading and writing. Okay, and finally the last objective is to emphasize on accuracy of grammar and pronunciation. Okay, so this is very important. Okay, so at the beginning, I think that when I say this kind of authors, they mention about these syllables. Okay, this is an example of the syllables. Okay, for example, in the first lesson, the sentence is I'm hungry. So the vocabulary maybe is thirsty, poor, alone. Okay, so I think it is clear. Okay, so in the first class, maybe you use just one form. For example, I am hungry. Okay, the second lesson, or maybe the second class, you can use another personal pronoun. For example, he's lazy. Okay, very good. Then we have another example using the same terms, in this case verb to be. You are crazy. Okay, the fourth lesson is as a question. Okay, and the fifth lesson the same as a question. Okay, but as you can see on the computer, they are the vocabulary. Okay, it changes in each lesson. Okay, so this oral approach also focuses in concrete objects. For example, as you can see on the table in this part, we have a bottle of water, we have a speaker, we have flashcards, we have the table, we have the computer, we have again the flashcards, maybe we have a jar, maybe you have the backpack, okay? So this is the concrete objects, okay? The second one is pictures. What happened with the picture? The same, you can use your flashcards, okay? In my case, I write the the word in English, in this case is standards, and the phonetic symbol, okay? This is very important because students do know how to pronounce the word, okay? So it's very useful for them, okay? Another example, for example, this, this, imagine, I am teaching right now and I say to my students, okay guys, so repeat sick. And students see the phonetic chart, okay, the phonetic symbol. In this case, is sick, okay. It's a short sound, okay. But it is depend of each teacher, okay. So this is the picture, okay. And what happened with the realia? In this case, is the classroom. The classroom. What happened with the classroom? You can arrange the seating that wherever you want. In this case, if you want to work in teams, maybe in pairs, maybe in individual, but it depends, okay? And if you want to make an activity that it is groupal, it's okay. So what happened with the learning roles? So talking about the students, in my case, initially the learning has to listen and repeat what teacher is saying. For example, the learning has to respond the question asked by the teacher, okay? The second one is the learning has to utilize the structure and meaning. The class is teacher controlled and hence pupil has to do thorough repetition, drills, a lot of drills, okay? So this is the learner's role, okay? So we are going to continue with the teacher's role. What happened with the teacher? In this oral approach is very important because the method lends to threefold activity for the teacher setting the stage for a new structure, presenting the model structure, and finally drilling and correction, okay? For example, I am the teacher in first the teacher is going to pronounce the word first. Imagine in this case I'm going to show in the picture, a student show the picture, then I'm going to turn off the flashcard and I'm going to show the English word and the phonetic symbol, okay? So imagine, so okay guys, repeat shy. Students have to repeat shy all the time, all the times are drills, okay? That's very important. That's part of the teacher's role, okay? So we have another characteristic. So it says the teacher strictly checks the pronunciation, grammar, and structural errors during drilling, okay? This is very important because the teacher is a model. If, for example, if I say I is happy, and a student is going to repeat I is happy, so the mistake is by the teacher, okay? So be careful in that part, okay? So it's very important. Then we have the structure is highly demonstrative through different teaching aids like a wall chart, as I told you, flashcards, posters, pictures, stick figures, and so on. Okay, the teacher is supposed to have mastery over prescribed textbook. The teacher serves as a model in the classroom. Okay, the teacher sets the pace of the lesson, skillful. Okay, so that's very important. And we have advantages in this oral approach. So that is effective, it is clear, and I think it is easy because all the time students repeat the words or repeat sentences, okay? So in another hand they are disadvantages, okay? That it is difficult to present and maybe it is boring by the teacher, okay? So I'm going to say an example very common in this oral approach. For example, this is an activity, okay? So okay guys, so repeat. There is a bottle of water in my backpack. And students have to repeat that the teacher said, okay? Okay guys, they are markers into my backpack. Okay? Okay guys, repeat. They are a lot of sheet of papers into my backpack. Okay? So it's a clear example of this oral approach. Okay? So I think that's all for this oral approach. So thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope that you enjoy and you learn something about this oral approach. So thank you very much and see you.